Hi there, I'm Chris from BikeReview.com.au, and today I'm having a look at Yamaha's 2018 and 2019 MT-09 Tracer, or Tracer 900 as it's also called. This is a further refinement on the older model, so you've got there's not a significant difference, but the styling has been updated. Personally, I think it's a very, very nice looking motorcycle. Obviously, this is based on the MT-09, however this is the sports touring version of this particular machine, so it's much taller. It's got some up-spec suspension on the front and the rear, it's got rebound and preload adjustability, which is a nice feature, particularly on a sports touring machine. It's got an adjustable screen, it's got quite a strong electronics package, it's got ride modes, which are really important for that triple cylinder engine that Yamaha have made. It's been refined a lot. However, at the same time, you do need to use those modes because around town it can be a little bit snappy if you're in the sports mode or A mode, and then out on the open road you want the A mode where you can have a little bit of fun, but you might want to switch it back to standard for smoother and a little bit of a doughier throttle response. So just something to keep in mind there. It does have traction control as well, which is really a nice feature, good little bit of extra safety if you're into, pushing the limits a little bit. And on the same note, it's got a slipper clutch with a nice, pretty light lever action on that clutch there. That's quite good. I have to say it's got a really, really slick gearbox, so it's very easy to do clutchless shifts up and down through the gearbox. However, that's a nice touch as well, because again, if you're riding sportily and you're really downshifting hard into the corners and stuff, you will appreciate that. As far as the suspension itself, it's a bit of a compromise between the softness of a touring bike and the sportiness of a sports bike. It is a sports tourer, so that's what you'd expect. I have to say, if this was my bike and I was spending more time on it, I would work on balancing it out a little bit. As it stands now, on the really smooth, sporty stuff, it's really, really good. It feels great. Great support on the brakes and the front end. However, if you get over to the really, really rough, kind of more typical Australian V roads, the suspension there isn't quite as tuned as I'd like it to be pushing a little bit harder. But like I said, that's simply because so far I haven't had a chance to properly look at the adjustability on those suspensions. So that's preload and rebound. Same on the rear, which is a good feature. There's no external adjuster for the rear, which is a little bit of a shame. That's like a nice feature to have just for really easy adjustment, but at the end of the day, that's certainly not a game breaker on a sportier machine like this. Now all up, the Tracer 900 weighs in at 210 kilos wet, so that's relatively light, all things considered. It's got those nice sporty wheels on it. Obviously, it's quite a beefy machine. It's got this really big saddle on it. It gives you lots of room to move around. Right up the front here, it's a bit of a more sporty seating position. If you push yourself to the back of the seat, you get a bit more stretch in the legs. It's a bit more of an upright seating position. Very, very wide bars, which give plenty of control. Really small rider inputs obviously are quite magnified by those wide bars. However, at the same time, it's a very sporty steerer. It feels like a much smaller and lighter bike. The only times I really feel that quite tall, sports touring side of things is when you're cornering and you're starting to lean over, because obviously being a tall bike, you really feel that lean considerably more than you would on a shorter sports bike or naked bike where you're a lot, closer to things. The screen, really, really good. One-hand operation, you can just push that up and down. The main thing I was finding with that was I was keeping it on a low setting because it's quite warm at the moment, and I was liking a little bit of extra air onto my helmet just for a bit of airflow. However, you can pop that up and it was ensuring that there wasn't really all that much air hitting me on the chest or on the head at all, which is a good feature, but that will depend on your personal height and your torso size. As far as other features, that triple cylinder engine is a real gem. It's really nice in standard mode, quite smooth. It's doughier though, that's what you really notice. Like if you ride it in standard mode first and then switch to A mode for something which is a little bit sharper on the throttle, Standard mode then feels very doughy. However, A mode is great for out sportily riding. What I did find, because it's nice on the open road, if you start hitting those big bumps, you will get a little bit of throttle snatch, just because, you know, the bike's, you know, getting hit pretty hard by those big bumps. So back to standard mode in those conditions. Obviously, as I've said, if I were to tune that suspension a little bit more and spend a couple of days doing that, you're probably going to be able to tune the majority of that out and get it perfect for your weight. But I haven't had the time to do that yet, so just something to consider. Other features, it does have an adjustable brake lever on the front here. It's got these cool hand guards which offer a bit of additional protection for your hands, especially in the cold. And it's also got great mirrors, so you've got plenty of rear vision mirror behind you. It's got quite a generous seat at the back here for a pillion. Nice big grab rails. And it's also got the integrated pannier mounting system, which is a really nice feature as well, because, you know, they easily mount on and lock into place. And Yamaha will have some options that you can put on this particular bike. One point of note, obviously the Tracer 900 or MT9 Tracer has the Yamaha calipers on them. I have to say I really like that system. There's not a heap of bite, but just enough bite for a sports touring application. There's heaps of power and modulation. It's a really, really good brake system there. Obviously it's got just a simple master cylinder on the front there. So you probably could beef that up with a radial master cylinder. However, as it stands, it's a good all-round, quite balanced system. You don't get too much dive on the forks when you're really heavy on the brakes, which is great. And on the rear, you've got quite a strong rear caliper, which is great for controlling your speed, coming to a stop around town. Just really great for control. So both of those, obviously this is a new bike, so it's got relatively new brake pads in it, but those perform very, very well. You've also got a dual display dash here. It's just a simple LCD dash. It's got a menu toggle on the switch block, so you can have a look through the different settings. And you've got your mode button on the right switch block here, which the throttle has to be closed. So you can't set that mode and then close the throttle. You've got to actually close the throttle to switch through the modes. It's only 3, relatively easy, even on the run. The dash itself, you've got your main display, which has got your speed and all the regular stuff. You've got a secondary display, which has your trip meters, which has got like quite a extensive touring style setup there, and also your gear indicator, which is a nice touch. And the indicator lights are right up the top here, so they're very easy to see when you're riding around if you accidentally leave them on, which is something I personally always like on any bike. It's just a great thing not to look like an idiot when you leave your indicators on, which happens to the best of us. There's also a power outlet there as well, which, you know, again, sports touring orientated bike, it's great to have that. The seat itself, as far as I know, there are 2 different seat height positions that you can set it at. It's a really, really nice feature as standard on the bike, because it means you've got a little bit of adjustability. And while I haven't had to use that myself, like I said, it's a nice feature if you want to lower the bike. Reach to the ground for me, I'm about 180 centimeters. Reasonably easy reach to the ground. The bike feels very, very light for walking it around, things like that. It also comes with a center stand, which, while you know, they add a bit of weight, all that kind of stuff, I actually have to say I've been using it a heap on this bike. I really like that. It's easy to get onto and off that center stand. It's also quite easy to, you know, basically just grab it, roll it off. Really, really just a great feature, great inclusion on this particular bike. And it does have a side stand as well for, you know, the easy parking opportunities. This bike, it's $15.5 plus on-road costs, so it's very competitively priced, especially for what you're getting. Yamaha have just improved each generation of the bike, and they've put better suspension on. They've really tuned that engine and the modes to give you a much nicer and more refined experience while still retaining the character of that engine. So it's still got that very characterful Yamaha triple in it. It really pulls, like, it's incredible. Get a bit of open road and just open up in A mode and my goodness, it just takes off. But it's still controllable, particularly in standard mode for around towning and all that, those annoying duties that, you know, if a bike's really light switch on the throttle and you're having to use it in those conditions, it can be a real problem. but not on this. Yamaha have just done a great job in further refining that triple cylinder. So if you've liked the video, let us know what you think. Leave a comment, like. Don't forget to hit that notification bell to keep updated on what we're releasing on the channel, and subscribe as well. Notification bell after you've subscribed, of course, and you can check out a full test at BikeReview.com.au. Thank you.